All right, Lady Ada, what is this?
I'm so glad you asked. This is Show and Tell. And this is a 1-hour show where people from around the world come by and show and share what they're working on, whether it's electronics or 3D printing or knitting or embroidery or cosplay, whatever it is that you're working on. Come on by. We're here for an hour and we love to see it. And you can show and share with the rest of the community. We're going to start off with some folks from Adafruit as well as a special transmission from DigiKey. Thanks to Kevin, who's been coming by and giving us the update of what DigiKey is up to. DigiKey is our partner that's helping us out during these challenging times.
All right. So let's first go to Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
How's it going? What's up,
guys?
this week?
It's going good. Yes, I'm from DigiKey, but I'm working out of my home office. DigiKey is about one song on the radio away from my house. So I'm here in my office, just like most of the office workers, but again, our warehouse is still shipping product. We're staying on top of things, and we're all healthy right now. So thanks to that, and thanks to our team. This week, just a couple quick updates. I was talking with some of the Adafruit team earlier today, and I'm going to start a project. I started doing a 3D rendering of it. I'm going to make a very large clue board. I know for a lot of people that have seen us at Maker Faire, we've had a 4-foot Circuit Playground Express. John Park has made an amazing Metro board. And I know there's other people that have created Arduino boards and different things that are big check size. So I'm going to make one about 2 feet by 3 feet. And
Ooh.
I'll show you guys updates every week. I'm really excited to work on it. It's a project that sounds like a lot of fun.
It's a big clue about your big clue.
That's right, a big clue. Speaking of big clue, I did want to let everybody know that coming up in the August edition of Make Magazine, there will be DigiKey's 2020 Boards Guide that we worked on with Make Magazine. We've had it for the past few years. It's really good on what are the new and upcoming boards, the new technology coming up. So that's going to come out in the August edition of Make Magazine. And Lamore, you have a special cameo in that magazine.
Amazing.
You sent us a little video talking about some of the do's and don'ts of board development and some of the latest developments and what's trending and what's hot and what's popular and what to look out for. So it's going to be really cool. We've put a lot of effort into it this year, and we're really excited to let this launch in August. So stay tuned for Make Magazine, and you guys can check it out.
Yeah, right on. We talked to the editor-in-chief and one of the head writers at Make, so we send over all our information. Adafruit has so many boards. We don't know if they'll all get in, but a lot of them will. So thank you for having the board guide and all the things that are in there. If folks want to right now, they can go to magazine.com and check out last year's board guide, which is always fun because you can see what was going on last year compared to this year. A lot of CircuitPython boards, of course, a lot of Feather boards. So you'll see that reflected. Probably not.
If you are interested in the augmented reality portion of it, we do have that up on our website. We have links over to download the app, and you can check it out even if you don't have a physical copy. So if you go digikey.com/boardsguide, it'll get you right through that process, and you can check it out in AR, like I said, even without the guide. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Right on.
Okay. All right, thank you, Kevin, for that update.
Thank you so
much. All right, thank you, and we'll see you guys next week with hopefully part of a big clue.
Okay.
All right, take care, guys.
Okay, next up, I was gonna. So we have a possible guest from the Adafruit team that might come in, Trevor, but it might be next week because we're doing a bunch of new iOS development and we're using some advanced stuff, and so that means we had to move to Big Sur. So that means nothing really works.
That's right. The internet's like broken right now.
Yeah. By the way, we can't tweet right now because all verified accounts, which we have, can't tweet. So you'll see a lot of our team members at Adafruit that don't have verified accounts yet. They're able to tweet for us. 2020 continues to give and give and give and take. All right, so we're going to go to Melissa next, and then we're going to go to folks that are lined up here, so probably Scott after that. How's it going, Melissa?
Hey, Melissa.
Good. Just a second here. There we go. So I have this Raspberry Pi with an e-ink display on it, and I have a little desk calendar application running over here. It's tax day, but it also can show other items by holding this down. So right now, Adafruit Show and Tell is going, and then Ask an Engineer is next, according to
Oh,
this.
cool. This is so handy. How did you build this?
I built this. I just put this bonnet together using the display and put in a couple buttons and resistors just based on Adafruit having open source hardware, which has made it really nice. I just took the breakout and one of these little proto Raspberry Pi hats and just put it all together.
All right. Okay, well, now you know to come here. You did a good job.
Thanks.
Success. All right, guide coming soon. And thanks for the preview, Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up we're going to go to Scott, and then we're going to go to Noam Pedro. Scott, what are you doing this week?
Let me put my ice water down before I am on show and tell. I think Lamar was watching me like, oh, get him while his mouth is full. So I've been working on optimizing the ESP32 SPI library. And my goal has been to optimize it so that we never allocate, or we reduce the size of the allocations we do. Because what happens over time, the memory in CircuitPython becomes more and more like Swiss cheese-like, where it gets harder and harder to allocate large things. Mm-hmm. And our current library does that. So like if it's getting a JSON file, it creates one big long string for that JSON and then parses it. So I've been working on optimizing it so we don't do that. And I just hacked together this thing called Memory Monitor today that I've been talking about doing. But it basically keeps track of every allocation that happens. And the way that I implemented it is you just use this with clause. So you can say with the memory monitor, it's actually called allocation size monitor. Memory monitor is the module. But you can just say with do something. And it turns on this thing that tracks all of the sizes of the allocations based on like power of two sizes. And then I have this print statement right after that goes through the 32 buckets within there. If it's empty, if count is 0, then I skip it. Otherwise we print it out. And here's an example of the output you get. So this is with the ESP32 SPI's simple test. And here you can see that to fetch the Wi-Fi test, it was 5,500 one byte or one block allocations. And that's 16 bytes usually. Yeah. And then you can see like we had 4 large blocks to do that. And then on the JSON side, we had 14 that were less than 32 blocks. And I should multiply it by 16 to make more sense. But I then ran it on my optimized code. And I was a little nervous. I'm still a little nervous. It did get rid of the top one. So like you can see that we're only doing allocations less than 8 blocks in this case. But we're doing a ton more single block allocations, which
that's like an order of magnitude higher. That's impressive.
Yes.
2 orders. That's cool.
But I was thinking about this, and I think one thing I changed is that when talking to the ESP, there's a like frequently waiting to like polling it and seeing if it's ready. And I think that action takes memory to do. Like that allocates memory. And so depending on how long the ESP takes, you can change the number of allocations that happen during that period.
Interesting.
So I'm going to take a look at that. Ideally, we wouldn't do any allocations when something like that is like very frequently called is done. So that's one way to fix it. But yeah, it's hopefully going to be a helpful tool for people to turn on and be able to understand like the memory impacts of a chunk of code in their code.
All right, thanks for the deep dive, the quick deep dive. Don't forget to watch Scott's deep dive on Fridays. You're going to be doing one this week?
Yeah, doing it this week, and it will probably be related to this.
Okay.
Almost guaranteed.
Tune in.
Yeah, check it out.
All right, thanks so much, Scott. Okay, next up we're going to go to Noam Pedro. Noam Pedro, how are you?
Hey, what's up, folks?
Hey.
Can you hear us okay? Let me turn that up. All right, cool. I had to turn myself up. Hey, so this is this week's project. It's a project based off the RGB matrix display, and we have the feather with the RGB matrix feather wheel in the back there. Basically, it's an interactive kind of game that you can play indoors. We got our little 3D printed hoop here with the IR brake beam sensors mounted on either end of it. So we have an arcade button, and we can use that to start the game and reset the points. So I'm going to demo it, and you guys can chat with Pedro. It's going to be a little bit hard for me to demo it.
Okay. You
All right.
You do the demoing part.
All right, so hopefully this doesn't break.
I think it's good.
Yeah, so we're using the Iron Beam, and this is another collab project with awesome Liz Clark. She did all the code in Python.
There you go. There you
All
go.
right, you're doing great.
Okay, and then we can, of course, reset it. This is all using display IO, so you can pretty easily display bitmaps and custom fonts on the display, which is really nice. It's
Well, I
also
like
using,
the graphics.
yeah, Liz did all the graphics. She does great color schemes as well. It's using the new MP3 library as well from Jeff Epler. So we can customize all the different sound effects and play different ones and iterate through different ones as we're kind of, I'm just cheating at this point. Yeah, and there's a SEMA speaker on the back as well, so we can get some sound out of it.
So we got the,
coming soon.
And while you were showing this, the breaking news, ESPN announced that both Liz and Noe got signed for a new league. Yeah, it's called
Pixel Hoop League.
It's called PBA. It's Pixel Basketball Association. So,
yeah, so we got the guide and video. You'll be previewing on Ask an Engineer, and it'll be launched later tonight.
I'll be showing that tonight.
Yes.
All right, thanks. All
All right, thank you.
All right, folks. Thank you.
right, next up, we're going to go to Jeff, and then after that, JP. Jeff, how's it going this week?
Hey, Jeff.
Hello, I'm just
Okay,
sipping on some
okay.
water here. But mine is carbonated.
Tonight, you know what?
Everyone's hydrated.
Everyone's very hydrated. It's good.
Yeah.
The only thing we don't have to worry about tonight.
Yeah. What I want to show today is this little piece of test equipment that I got this past week. It is called a universal counter, but mostly what I plan to use it for is testing the frequency of oscillators. Back here, I have a featherboard and a real-time clock feather wing. And so one question you might ask is, well, how accurate is this going to be? And so nominally, if the clock on it, the crystal, is at 32,768 hertz exactly, then it will count accurately. Otherwise, it'll gain or lose time. So I've calibrated this device and then measured the output of the real-time clock. And I'm getting 32,770 and then some digits that are changing. So that means it's fast by 2 hertz, which means the error is 5 seconds per day or 160 seconds a month, which is not great if you'd like your clock to be accurate.
Yeah.
But with this particular real-time clock, it turns out you can internally adjust the capacitance. And when you do that, you can get it much, much closer. So when you have the ability to measure and you have the ability to correct, then you can create a pretty accurate clock. So this one should lose around 1/10 of a second a day or 4 seconds a month once it's been calibrated. So that is a lot better. And so then the final product here is this guy that's going to show the hours and minutes in 24-hour time and the date. So that's what I'm playing with, and it's all with CircuitPython and 1980s test equipment.
Yay. 1980s test equipment meets modern scripting languages. Love it.
Yeah.
And what a great looking circuit counter. I love that you press the button.
Yeah, the look of these things and the feel of these things is, is just great. I mean, what a lot of fun just to get to press the buttons.
Awesome.
That's
All right,
fun.
thanks, Jeff.
All right, thank you so much, Jeff. Next up, we're going to go to JP, and I'll bring up JP's screen.
Oh, we can't hear you, JP. You're muted.
But he's on here.
There we go. That's right. I need
It's a
to talk because I can communicate everything with that gizmo right there. So the project I'm working on this week, and I'll be showing this on my workshop show tomorrow, is making an on-air sign using I have a Metro M4 airlift in here right now with a RGB matrix backpack or shield on it, driving this 64 by 32 display. And I wanted to get into just learning. I've done some bitmap projects on here and some default terminal text, but I wanted to do some custom bitmap-based fonts on here, as well as I wrote some little routines for drawing things like those little wings and the framing lines around them. And I also added a little button that lets me switch the state. So right now, this one is just a very simple hang it outside your door so that when you're on a conference call or, my kids will be doing online class 100% next year. It's been determined in Los Angeles. So letting people tell other members of the household when you shouldn't come knocking or yelling at their door is probably a good thing. So this project will help with that. And then I'm also going to work on adding Wi-Fi support to that, since this is the airlift metro that I have here, so that I can do things like check the status of YouTube or Twitch or something that has an API that can communicate when you are actually broadcasting, when you've gone live, and have see if I can get that to automatically update. So those are the projects I'm working on with this little display here.
All right, I like the 1950s retro style in there.
Thank you. Yeah, I like sort of the aerospace or aviation theme, and I found I'll show, actually I'm going to do a guide and I'll show how you can do things similar to what we've done on the PyPortal of grabbing a font. This was an open source font off of the Google Fonts site, an Art Deco font, and then convert it to a bitmap font. And I actually dug into the bitmap font a little bit to see how I could tune it after FontForge created the glyphs for me. And it's actually a hex code that you can then turn into a binary and look at it. And it's literally just, this is a 15-point wide font. So it just is 000001000 is the top of the A, and so on. So you can go crazy, customize them.
All right, tonight we'll be showing your video and more, and then JP's show is tomorrow. And I'm going to do a thank you in advance. Next week, JP's probably going to be running the show and tell.
Yes.
So thanks in advance.
You're welcome.
Or whoever else on the team is going to be running it. But we'll see everybody on Ask an Engineer, but we're trying to alternate some hosts for show and tell. So you'll be in good hands next week. Thank you so much, JP. All right, next up, we're going to go to Erin. And then after that, Dan. Erin.
Hello. Hey. So I have a couple things to talk about. I guess my first one is I launched a new tutorial today, which is a little sandcastle made out of bottles. I don't have that one with me, though, so instead of talking too much about that, I'll probably show that one next week. I wanted to show off the project that I am working on at the moment, which is this little ukulele. I, of course, whoops, dropped it, put a bunch of electronics inside. It's using a feather sense board and a prop maker wing and a couple of NeoPixel strips. And I'm having all kinds of fun writing way too many silly LED animations for it. The cool thing it does right now is that it is actually sensing the different pitches, and I have it set up so that when I play particular notes, then it'll switch modes.
Neat.
So it's been pretty fun. I'm doing a lot of stuff with pixel mapping and the LED animations library written for CircuitPython and making it map different ways. It's been a lot of fun playing with this. And of course, I'm going to add a strum reactive mode and everything too. So this is in the works. I'm having far too much fun with it. And it also has a cheesy rock band shake mode, I think, if I can get that to work. Anyway.
Let's grow the ukulele. Nice work, Erin. That's
super fun.
Guy. Okay. Thanks for the notes.
All right, and we'll have your guide and also a video from you tonight from the Blue Castle.
Excellent.
Project that you did, or the glowing
castle.
Glowing.
It is blue.
Some of them are blue.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's blue.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Erin. And Erin G. ukulele.
Next up is Dan, and then Dan's screen. I'll get both of them up here. Dan, take it away.
Okay, so I'd like to talk to you about Bluetooth, like I always talk to you about. So I'm working on the third implementation of Bluetooth Low Energy. So the first one we did was for the NRF52840, which is in this little can right here. And we have a bunch of boards that talk Bluetooth Low Energy using that. This is a Clue board, which you should be familiar with. And then when we have a low-level programming interface called BLEIO that you can call from CircuitPython to talk Bluetooth Low Energy. Mm-hmm. So we did that for the NRF boards, and then we did it for host computers like Windows and Linux, and hopefully soon Mac. And that would use the built-in Bluetooth that's, say, in your laptop, or if you have like a dongle, a Bluetooth dongle that you can plug into your computer, mm-hmm. It talks that thing. And now I'm doing it for the third time. Here we've got a Metro Airlift board, which has an ESP32 on it. which you usually say, oh, that talks Wi-Fi. That doesn't do Bluetooth, but in fact, it does do Bluetooth. They can't really do them at the same time, but you can change its mode so that it uses Bluetooth low energy as well. So I'm implementing BLE-IO again, and you could be able to talk to this Airlift ESP32 or any ESP32 and have it do BLE-IO. And I'm just beginning to get it running. I have it doing advertising, but not connecting right now. So hopefully this simple demo will work. First, we'll start it up. There we go. And it's talking to the ESP32, and you can see it's going back and forth. It's sending commands back and forth to the ESP32. That's what all this stuff is. And it asked it what its address was. And now we'll try to run the advertising demo. And it started advertising, and can show you that it does that. Here I have the Bluefruit Connect app, which runs on your iPhone or my iPhone, and hopefully it's not too washed out. Can you switch screens? Can you swap the two screens? You can close the. There we go.
Okay.
And it's too. Oh, there we go.
Well, we believe you. It's showing up.
I believe you. So it says unknown right there.
Oh yeah.
And that means it's listening and it's seeing the advertisements from the ESP32.
Yeah.
So it doesn't know its name yet because it hasn't completed the advertising, but it does see it. And if I closed it, then that would go away. So we're getting somewhere, and hopefully soon we'll be able to have it talk to the Bluefruit Connect app, just like all the other things talk to.
All right. The first step is the advertising list. All right. Thanks, Dan, for that.
Okay. Next up, we're going to go to Liz, and then Moheeb, and then David Alexander. So Liz.
Hey,
hello.
Liz.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
I shared my screen. So I worked on the Pixel Hoops project with Naya this week. That was really fun. And then I started working on a project that I'd had and wanted to do for a while. There's the Elgato Stream Deck that's really popular, where you have all these shortcut buttons that kind of can go into like folder menus. So I'm trying it out with a PyPortal Titano. So I just started with the logic. So I just have some buttons here, and when I press a button, it goes to a new menu, and then back. So that was kind of the proof of concept coding I got in today, and I'll be adding more shortcuts for everything, some media keys at the bottom, and then something, it's kind of nerdy, but at the bottom, I'm most excited about the emoji button. I'll have shortcuts to my favorite emojis, so can just send them.
I know, those are really tough. Like if you're not on mobile.
Exactly.
Because it's really difficult. You got to Google for them, and it's embarrassing. It's like, what do you do?
So I'm probably most excited about that part. But so just start working on that.
All right, looks great.
Okay, right on. And we'll be showing some of your handiwork tonight on Ask an Engineer with the Pixel scoreboard thing. Good work on that project.
Thank you. We are recruiting for the league if anyone's interested.
That's what I was just saying. The big announcement came out. As soon as Verified Twitter is back, I'm sure it'll be.
Elon Musk is already trying to
all
contact
over
you.
It'll be all over the place.
To join, you just have to send him some Bitcoin.
That's right.
That's it. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Liz.
Have a good one.
All right. Next up, we're going to go Moheeb.
Hey, Moheeb, Virgil.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I've seen this project. This is making the rounds. Congrats.
Thanks. It's if you remember the last time I think I was on, I showed this in cardboard form, and it looked a lot more menacing. And so it's a digital lock, like a electronic lockbox, and so it's locked right now. But and it all runs on AWS serverless and stuff. So if I type in the last code, okay, it should beep and then unlock.
Wait, so how do you use AWS?
So I've got a serverless backend that basically stores the state, and then there's another function. So when I type in like a phone number, it calls this Lambda function through API Gateway. So it's just making a REST call, and that will create the randomized code, send a text message to the phone number you pass it, then update the state in a systems parameter store in AWS. So it's like you could theoretically encrypt that, but I don't because it's an example project. And that stores a state, and so then the device updates on that state to tell it whether to lock or not. That's so that in case it like loses power, it can boot up and fetch its last known state and lock and have the code stored. Right now, I just have the battery inside it, and so it's just a relay module spliced to a JST connector and like a it's technically 6-volt solenoid relay lock thingy. So I'm gonna type in my phone number off screen real quick and show you how fast it messages. All right. So it's sending code. So that's making that REST request. And then I get the message. Yeah, and so it's now it's locked.
Okay.
And so that's all the files and stuff for that are online. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. So yeah, this is all on the AWS Compute blog. You'll see that.
Okay.
So I've got this all published on everything on how to do it. It's beginner level, so I should be able to build it without any cloud experience. It's all built like one-click deploy, like the previous ones I've published for the PyPortal. Then the other thing I wanted to show is, so I've got this LCD working with the, so that's I've got the Pi high quality camera with the varifocal 2.8 to 12 millimeter lens. And so this is sort of Frankenstein case. So it's part Ruiz Brothers Pi HQ 3D printed case in carbon fiber filament. And then I wanted a good way to get to this screen I found. So it's a TFT screen. So I just like taped on.
Nice.
So put the back on.
Looks can't tell.
I had to do some weird stuff to get the camera preview from the Python module for PyCamera to work. So on this GPIO TFT, it doesn't, I guess the PyCamera Python module doesn't output to anything that's not like an HDMI source. Yeah. So I had to use this tool I found called RASP2FB, which copies things like that to the frame buffer for GPIO LCD. So that's why it's like kind of spotty and stuff bleeds through.
Well, it works. All right. Well, great work, Moheeb. Thank you for coming by and showing your 2 projects.
Thanks.
Projects. Keep coming by. See what you're up to.
Right on.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Next up is David Alexander. David Alexander.
Hello, David and Alexander.
All right. We can't hear you, but we can see what's on your screen.
There's like some robots.
So let's see if they can unmute and show us what they're up to. Let's see.
Yeah.
I added your other display, so or your other thing, whatever that is doing is working. So go for it.
Okay, great. Go for it.
All right. Okay, great. So let me begin. So David already showed our project here last week, but at that time we didn't actually have a working model to show because we burned our headers. So let me rectify it now. So the project is So the project is a robotic controller board. It's similar to Cricut for those who know what it is, but it has some significant differences. For starters, it's intended for use with motors which are 12 volts and 6 to 12 volts and much more powerful. It has connectors for the encoders. It has the IMU, which you can use for robotic orientation, so to find the orientation of your robot. And it has a bunch of other features. So what I wanted to do actually today is show it in action. So David, if you can, switch to that. Yes, so we have a robot actually set up right here on the floor. And I just wanted to show how well this IMU works. So David, can you press the button? So All right. So of course, driving straight seems to be like a simple thing, but if you have done any robotics project, you know that doing it with any precision and coming back to the same place you started with is actually not as simple as it sounds, especially if you are not really using any sensors other than the built-in ones. And this robot at the moment has no sensors. So you can see where it ended up exactly, almost exactly. Yep. Can you? Yes, and you can see that it self-corrects. So if you try to push it off track, yes, it self-corrects. And we spent quite a bit of time actually not only doing the hardware, but also writing the software. So we have a user-level library, we have firmware which does all of that. So the whole code which runs this robot right now is about 5 lines. Go forward, turn 90 degrees, well, not counting the code which turns on and off the LEDs. So that's it. So we wanted to make it easy for users. In this case, I was thinking of using it for robotics classes, robotic camp, so that the kids could actually write the code very easily and not be distracted by the robot. Instead of when you tell it to go straight, it will go at an arc and end up, at a corner where you did not want. So this seems to avoid it. And as I said, the whole code right now can be written by any, 5th grader.
All right, well, looks great. Nice work with your robot and your software.
David also wanted to show some.
Yeah. So last week, I showed off this chassis with a rover wing on it, but I didn't actually let it run, which I'm still not going to do this time. But we have a little bit of an announcement. So we recently added kits to our Kickstarter, so people can actually buy a full robot kit. So we're not only just selling the PCB now, you can actually buy a full robot that you can get ready to go in like an hour or two, even with no experience, as long as you have a soldering iron. And then another project I've been working on, it's not quite done, I'm still working on tuning the PID, is a self-balancing robot using just the rover wing and 2 motors. And it works okay. I mean, I can turn it on right now. I'm still working on tuning it, so it'll probably...
Fine-tuning the ID coefficients for self-balancing is hard.
Yeah.
As you know.
So basically, it's probably just going to have a spasm and fall over.
I would... So... Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, I tried.
I'm working on it. Hopefully I'll have it done by next week.
All right, well, come by when you have it balancing. That's a good goal. It's a good...
It stopped working this morning.
Okay. But the driving works perfectly right now with very little code. As I said, 1 line of code is all it takes of all the course correction, precise turns, and more, without any additional sensors.
All right, thank you, David and Alexander.
Okay.
Thanks for showing off your
Right on,
rover
and
wing.
feel free to post up the links to the Kickstarter and, of course, all the documentation.
Yeah, it's on the screen right now, but if you...
Yeah, they're at the bottom of our screen.
Yeah, feel free to put it in the chats as well.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so much, and continue to come back as your campaign goes, and also as you add more things to the project and the Kickstarter as well. All right, thanks so much, David and Alexander. All right, that is our show and tell for tonight. We got done a little bit early tonight, thank goodness.
But we had some great people coming by and great projects.
So we had a bunch of stuff going on. We'll be back next week. It might be either us or JP next week. So you can tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Wednesday, show and tell. Ask an Engineer starts at 8 p.m. We'll see everybody in about 20 minutes or so.
Thank you, everybody. Come by
Bye-bye.
next week.